Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. Last week when we did Return to the Secret Name, we picked up 4 experience but a mental trauma apiece. However, we cleared their trauma Wednesday thanks to my new house rule on trauma. Additionally, Jacqueline added the Black Book to her deck, so the Chaos Bag has another skull in it. Anyway, now we're ready to jump into the 4th scenario of the main campaign, Return to the Wages of Sin. This is actually the 5th scenario in the campaign, because as you remember, after Return to At Death's Doorstep, we actually put in a TCU-themed Carnival of Horrors. But anyway, minor details aside, let's go ahead first up and set the scene for the scenario.
Scenario 4, The Wages of Sin. Ever since your encounter with the ghost in the witch house, you have been forced to reconsider everything you know about life and death. Keziah Mason died over 200 years ago, but her spirit remains in the spectral mist. The same mist you encountered in Joseph Meiger's manor. One question lingers in your mind as you consider the events that have transpired. Does Keziah's spirit linger because of the mist, or is the mist caused by her presence? Which is the disease, and which the symptom? The more you delve into Arkham's history of witchcraft and persecution, the more restless you become. Night after night, you are assaulted by terrible dreams of death and decay, of guilt and sin. There is an evil that dwells in this city, an evil that has long remained hidden in the darkness of Arkham's past. What's worse, your inquiry has reached an impasse. You believe that if you can find the coven of witches you saw in the woods that fateful night, you might be able to learn more about Keziah Mason or this unspoken evil. As you go through your morning routine, your eyes drift across one of the smaller headlines of today's newspaper. Ghost sightings on Hangman's Hill? Residents of Uptown claim to have seen human shapes in the thick fog emanating from Hangman's Brook. It couldn't be a coincidence, could it? Then the realization dawns on you. If it is witches you seek, the only place you can be certain to find them is 6 feet underground, in the place where professed witches were executed all those years ago. Searching for specters in a graveyard may not be your safest bet, but you're not sure one can stay safe in this city anymore. Scenario?
Honestly, after years and years in this city, I don't think anybody's ever safe in Arkham. But anyway, let's remind everybody next of what the tarot reading was. So on the good side, we left the Lovers 6. So when the game begins, each investigator searches their deck for an ally asset, adds it to their hand, then shuffles their deck. Except Mandy will actually get shocking discovery. So once we're all done setting up, we'll have to resolve that, and then we can figure out our turn from there. So that's kind of a complicated timing question, but I'll get more into that later. On the bad side, we left the Temperance 14, so each investigator gets -1 sanity, which means it's acting like we took the mental trauma from last week anyway, even though we cleared it in the upgrades video. So, like I mentioned on the Lovers 6, the way it's worded, Mandy will get shocking discovery. Depending on how problematic the card is, it might not be too bad. But the only consolation there is Mandy would get shocking discovery either way. So a free ally for Jacqueline won't be a bad thing. But anyway, let's take a look at opening hands next. Jacqueline will once again be our lead investigator. So she has a copy of Arcane Studies, 2 cost to play, 2 will, 2 lore on commit. Uses 2 resources, replenish those at the start of each round. As an action, spend 1 resource from your resource pool or from Arcane Studies. You get +1 will or lore for the skill test. Then we have an Enchanted Bow, level 2, 3 cost to play, will and agility on commit. Uses 3 charges. As an action to exhaust the bow, fight, you use either will or agility instead of combat and get +1 skill value. Deal +1 damage, and as an additional cost, you may spend 1 charge for this attack to target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location. If you do, ignore aloof and retaliate. Then we have the 4 of Cups, which will actually be starting in play. +1 will, as a reaction when the game begins. If 4 of Cups is in play in your opening hand, put it into play. Seek clarity in your heart and mind. So we'll go ahead and put that straight into play. Even though it's technically not start of game, but close enough for jazz at this point. Then we have Clairvoyance level 5. 4 cost to play, will and 2 lore on commit. Uses 3 charges. As an action, we can spend a charge to investigate, using will instead of lore, plus 3 will, and discover 2 additional clues if we succeed, but if we pull a good symbol, we take 2 horror. And Prophetic, which is a card I've really wanted to try. 2 will on commit, uses 2 resources, replenish those resources at the start of each round. Resources on Prophetic may be spent to pay for fortune, spell, or spirit cards. During a skill test on a fortune, spell, or spirit, you can spend a resource from Prophetic to get +1 skill value for this test. Mandy's opening hand, I'm somewhat happy with, but we'll get into that in a minute. So first up, we have her Occult Lexicon level 3. 2 cost to play, 2 lore on commit. When you play a copy of Blood Rite, either change each 2 to a 3 or shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. And on a 4, search your bonded cards for 3 copies of Blood Rites. 1 to your hand, the other 2 into your deck. Then we have Janae Beauregard. +1, 5 cost to play, lore and agility on commit. +1 of each. And then during your turn, after you move to a location, exhaust him to move a clue or a non-elite enemy from a connecting location to your location, or vice versa. Similarly, we'll be starting off with Mandy's Death 13 in play. I'm not going to bother with the resource cost. +1 lore, let go, and embrace a new truth. So Death 13 starts in play for Mandy. Deduction level 2, 2 lore on commit. If you succeed while investigating a location, discover 1 additional clue at that location, 2 instead if you succeed by 2 or more. And a Research Librarian, which is a 2 cost to play. After it enters play, search your deck for a tome asset and add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Anyway, next up, let's go ahead and take a look at our starting act and agenda decks. Agenda 1A, the Hanged Man 12. Surrender yourself to the path of, sacrifice. Consider the good of all before you act. This is not wanting to focus for me. There we go. The Hanged Man 12. Surrender yourself to the path of sacrifice. Consider the good of all before you act. Let go. 8 doomed to advance that. And then our starting act, which will be a little bit different for those of you who might either be playing this right now if you're on a different path, or if you were watching the summer campaign last year, because we weren't doing... Return hadn't even released when I did this as the summer campaign last year. In pursuit of answers, you have come to Hangman's Hill to investigate reports over the last few nights of ghost sightings and strange activities in the woods. The witch named Erin told you to meet her here, but for what purpose? Locations cannot be flipped to their spectral side, and we need 3 per investigator or 6 clues to advance. Now, remember from the very first scenario that Erin has wanted to meet all this time, and now we're finally coming back to that. And that act actually alluded to a spectral side, which means we'll be dealing with... This is actually a unique scenario because we're going to have 2 encounter decks, one normal deck and 1 spectral deck. And I have to be sensitive to the type of location so I know which deck I'm drawing from. But anyway, enough rambling on that front. Now Jacqueline and Mandy will move over to the map, so we'll meet them over there. As you can see, we start off with all of our locations on the on the normal side without the spectral trait. So what I'm going to do is, as I move into each location, I'll go through it at that point. So anyway, I was using a 10 resource marker from Orbits to remind me where the investigators start, but anyway. We'll take a look at Hangman's Brook. Shroud of 4, 2 clues. As an action, resign. Whose bright idea was this anyway? Originating from a natural spring near the peak of Hangman's Hill, the narrow, shallow brook fills the surrounding woods with a quiet, peaceful babbling. The brook winds down the hill southward, forming the western border of Arkham's uptown district. Alright, so we'll get the 2 clues back for that. And now with everything set up, now we're officially into start a game. So now officially, the Four of Cups and Death 13 both enter play, we do get an open player window. And actually, no, I don't think we have an open player window here going into the start of game. So, but Mandy does get her aforementioned shocking discovery, and I've already shuffled the deck from pulling that out last night. I did that as part of setup. But anyway, Mandy will be drawing from the normal encounter deck, so she will draw Priestess of the Coven, 2/3/2 Retaliate. Priestess of the Coven gets +1 fight and +1 evade for each witch enemy in the encounter discard pile, to a maximum of +3 fight and +3 evade. Forced, when the encounter deck runs out of cards, Priestess of the Coven readies and attacks each investigator at its location. We get it's 2 damage on attack. So, I wanted to wait until Mandy had her encounter card dealt with so I could figure out what I needed Jacqueline to go get. And now I think I need her to go get something that'll let her dig for spells. So to that end, I'm looking for... here we go. That's the ally I'm going to grab. I'll give this a quick shuffle on camera because this is resolving from the Lover's 6. As much as I would love a little bit of time to set up, we got to deal with this Priestess of the Coven right away. So to hopefully help us do that, hopefully help us do that, Jacqueline went to grab her Arcane Initiate out of... I probably would have grabbed Twila if I didn't have to find something to deal with this Priestess of the Coven right away. 0 cost to play, will and combat on commit. Forced, after Arcane Initiate enters play, place 1 Doom or 2 Horror on it. As a fast action, exhaust Arcane Initiate to search the top 3 cards of your deck for a spell and draw it. Shuffle your deck. Okay, so on that note, now we're into the investigation phase, and Jacqueline's first turn will take us down to her play area. The one thing I derped and forgot to do last night as I was doing setup was to give the ladies their starting resources. Anyway, action 1 will be the aforementioned Arcane Initiate. I'm not going to bother going through it again since I just played it about 10 seconds ago. And then since we're this early in this, since this is the first turn, I'm going to put 2 Horror on it because putting a Doom on right now would actually speed up the clock a bit. Which I wouldn't mind. I usually don't mind putting Doom on the Arcane Initiate if I'm getting ready to advance the agenda. But since I'm not here, then I'm not going to put the extra Doom up. Then as a fast action, I'm going to exhaust the Arcane Initiate, and I'm going to go 6 deep because I'm going to go 6 deep thanks to Mandy, because I know I need to find an attack spell of some kind. Well, something 3, 4, 5. Something stronger than the Enchanted Bow is what I need to find, because I need this thing off of Mandy ASAP. So card 1 is a Spectral Razor, which would do it. 2 cost to play, combat, and will on commit. Fight, add your will to your skill value for this attack. Immediately before this attack, you may engage the attacked enemy. This attack deals +1 damage, or +2 instead if the enemy is non-elite. So that's definitely an option that I could take here. Card 2 is an Occult Theory, which I won't look at because I can't take that anyway, because I'm a practiced expert and I'm looking for a spell. Arbiter of Fates, I wish I could take this, but I can't. Drawn to the Flame, I also wish I could take this, but again, I can't. Storm of Spirits, which I could also take, but I don't think I need it this early. 3 cost to play, will, 2 combat, and commit. Fight, using will instead of combat, you get +2 will for this attack. If you succeed, instead of standard damage, deal 3 damage to everything at your location. If you pull a bad symbol, deal 2 damage to each investigator at your location. And Open Gate, which is also a spell. Myriad Fast. Play only during your turn. Attach to your location, group limit 3 in play. Investigators may move between any two locations with an attached open gate as if the locations were connected. That's tempting, but I don't need it. But I don't think I need it I don't think I need it right away. I don't think I need that until later, honestly. So actually, I am going to go ahead and take the Spectral Razor. Because like I said, I need something that's going to help me deal with that Priestess of the Coven on Mandy. Like I said, I would be a lot happier if I saw Open Gate later. But that's part of me metagaming a little bit because I know what's coming. Well, I know some of what's coming anyway. Action 2 will be 2 resources to play that Spectral Razor, and then I will have Jacqueline engage the Priestess of the Coven just so I don't hit Mandy. But I am going to throw her ability into this because I want to get rid of this thing right away, and I don't think Jacqueline is doing another test this round, so we're going to pull 3 tokens and resolve 1. And we'll hopefully cancel 2 or 1 non-tentacle. And that should be 3. Okay. First token up. Actually, I should have set the scene for the attack. So we're at 6 will thanks to the 4 of Cups. Plus 2 is 8. To 2 on the Priestess of the Coven, we're up 6. And we are going to be doing 3 damage if we hit, because the Priestess of the Coven is non-elite. So first up is a Skull. Then for token 2, a +1, and a 0. So I'll cancel the Skull and the 0, and the Priestess of the Coven is dead. That goes into the standard discard pile. And then action 3. Action 3 will actually be to spend 3 resources to play Prophetic. So this is the one where we get free resources for spell cards, for Fortune, Spell, or Spirit, and we can spend a resource from Prophetic to get +1 skill value for the test. So I'll get a pair of resource tokens out. Here we go. Okay. And then that will do it for Jacqueline. So now let's move over to Mandy. Mandy's turn will take us over to... first up, we're actually going to exhaust... Actually, we'll wait until we do that. We'll move over to the map. In the open player window, before Mandy takes her turn, she's going to exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw a card, so she will find... Quick Thinking. If you succeed by 2 or more, after the test resolves, you may immediately take an action as if it were your turn. This action doesn't count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. So for action 1, Mandy's going to clean herself out of resources to play... Here you are. To play Janae Beauregard. +1 combat, or +1 lore, +1 agility. During your turn, after you move to a location, exhaust Janae. Move a clue or non-elite enemy from a connecting location to your location or vice versa. 2 and 2 on Soak. And then for action 2, Mandy's going to move up to the abandoned chapel, and then she's going to exhaust Janae to move a clue from Hangman's Brook up to the abandoned chapel. And then action 3 will be to investigate, and she will commit Quick Thinking to it to go up 5, 6, 7, 8 to 2. She's up 6. The Skull, we'll take a quick look at the Skull. -X, where X is 1 plus the copies of unfinished business in the victory display. So Mandy succeeds by 5, which will give her a clue. And then Quick Thinking will give us an action. which I will use to investigate again, this time committing deduction, so I can hopefully get 3 more clues off of that location if I succeed by 2 or more. And right now I'm at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm up 7. Elder Sign. Mandy's Elder Sign, I think we've seen this a couple times. +0, search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test. If able, shuffle your deck. So Mandy will draw 3 cards. Shocking Discovery is actually gone from the deck, so now we have options. So card 1, Hawkeye Folding Camera, 2 costs to play, will on commit. It's basically, after the last clue is discovered from your location, place 1 resource on it. Limit once per game at each location. While Hawkeye Camera has 1 or more evidence, you get +1 will. 2 or more evidence, +1 lore. 3 or more evidence, you get +1 sanity. Card 2. Investigate burning the midnight oil to get 2 resources. This might be tempting to draw rather than commit. Action 3, or card 3. Mob Enforcer, which I want nothing to do with. So I will take the burning the midnight oil, but I will draw it instead of committing it to this test. So Mandy still succeeds by, what was she at? 5, okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Mandy does succeed by 7, which means she'll get 3 more clues off the location. We'll give that a cut. That's in the discard pile. Mandy gets 3 more clues. Come on. There we go. Okay, so that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Jacqueline took care of our only enemy in play, so we'll go ahead and re-ready everything. Put the Elder Sign back in the bag. Reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. We're back up top for the upkeep phase. Each of our ladies will gain a resource and go up to 1, so they both got cleaned out of resources. Jacqueline draws. Arbiter of Fates. We saw this earlier, but we couldn't take it. I think we saw this earlier when she was looking for spells, but she couldn't take it because we were, again, looking for spells from the Arcane Initiate. 3 costs to play. Will, Agility, Wildcard on commit. Jacqueline Find Deck only. When you use Jacqueline's reaction ability, Exhaust Arbiter of Fates, this use of her ability does not count toward its limit. Mandy draws the Hawkeye Folding Camera, which we also had a choice from of earlier when Mandy was looking for Elder Sign, but we took Burning the Midnight Oil instead. So start of round, now we have to be sensitive to that, because start of round, Prophetic gains its 2 resources. Mythos phase, we got our first Doom on the agenda. Here we go. And since they're both at non-spectral locations, both Jacqueline and Mandy will be interacting with the standard encounter deck. So Jacqueline draws. Maligned. Put it into play in your threat area. Increase the cost of each card you play by 1. As an action, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard Maligned. If there's an exhausted witch enemy at your location, this test is automatically successful. Mandy draws. Same thing as Jacqueline, Maligned. So anyway, investigation phase now. We'll start with Mandy and her turn. Actually, before we leave the Mythos phase, I'm going to try to remember this a lot more carefully. So Jacqueline will search the top 3 of her deck for a spell. Top 3. Card 1, Word of Command, which is tempting, 2 costs to play. Name a spell card. I can search my deck for 1 copy of the named card and draw it. Shuffle my deck. That is a spell, so I can take it. Card 2. Occult Theory, which I still can't take. And Drawn to the Flame, which I still can't take. So by default, I end up with Word of Command. But honestly, I might have taken Word of Command anyway, because that would let me go get whatever I think I need to. Honestly, I could probably just have Jacqueline worry about getting rid of Maligned, and that might not be a completely terrible idea. Especially since she probably doesn't need to play anything just yet. But anyway, that little musing aside, Mandy will also exhaust her ancestral knowledge and draw a card from under it, so Mandy will find Opportunist. Commit only to a test you're performing. If you succeed by 3 or more, return Opportunist to your hand after this test instead of discarding it, and it's a wild card on commit. So with that, we'll start the second round here. I'll grab another of these because I'll probably be using it. We'll start the next round with Mandy, and we'll start over at the map. I did forget to go through Mandy's new location, the Abandoned Chapel. Shroud of 2, it had 4 clues on it, it's now down to 1. During the Mythos phase, each investigator in Abandoned Chapel gets -1 to each skill. This old, broken-down chapel has been abandoned for several decades now. Perhaps it was once a place of sanctity. These days, it is only a source of sober melancholy. Victory 1. So anyway, action 1 for Mandy will be to investigate. She's at 5, 6, 7. She's up 5, trying to get that last clue. A 0 gets her the last clue, and gets us a victory as long as it stays clear. Action 2 will be to move over to Haunted Fields. So we're going to be a little bit busy, but we'll go ahead and take a quick look at this location as well. Shroud of 3, 4 clues. Each spectral enemy at Haunted Fields gets +1 horror value. Few creatures call the wooded fields surrounding Hangman's Hill home. Patches of dark, pointed witchweed blossoms have choked out all other flora, and wisps of thin gray fog seep it through the air, like long fingers reaching out for something to grasp. Victory 1. And then Mandy will exhaust Janae to move the last clue from Hangman's Brook up here, to make it a little easier to get. And then action 3 will be to play... Where is it? We gotta pay 1 to play this. It's a little annoying, but I can't help it. I just need the resources. So burning the Midnight Oil. When this action begins, gain 2 resources. So we net gaining 1, because again, Maligned makes everything cost 1 more. So Mandy is at 5, 6, 7 to 3. She's up 4. So I will commit... Opportunist to go up 5, since it's probably... I'm hoping it's going to end up being a free skill commit here, but I'm far from sure. A 0 says it gets her a clue and a free skill commit, because Opportunist comes back to her hand. Okay, so that will do it for Mandy. That's gone. Jacqueline has Word of Command in her hand. Jacqueline, I think, will go ahead and try to get rid of Maligned before she goes up and joins her. My plan is to have Jacqueline go join Mandy. So for action 1, I'm going to take the test on Maligned, and I'm going to throw her ability into this, since I don't think she's taking another test this turn. So right now she's at 6 to 3. She's up 3, and I'm using her ability. And there's 3. Card 1, or token 1, is a +1, which would very much get rid of Maligned. Token 2, an Elder Thing, which I will probably get rid of that. And the Elder Sign. So let's take a look at Jacqueline's Elder Sign. Jacqueline's Elder Sign is +1. If this effect is cancelled or ignored, draw 1 card. So I will cancel the Elder Thing and the Elder Sign. How do you like that? Which will discard Maligned, and then Jacqueline will draw. Rite of Seeking, 4 cost to play, lore on commit. Uses 3 charges. As an action, spend 1 charge to investigate, using will instead of lore. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at this location. If a bad symbol is revealed, immediately lose all remaining actions and end your turn after the test resolves. So that was action 1. Action 2, Jacqueline will move up to join Mandy at the Haunted Fields. And then action 3, she'll take a resource so I can open up her options a little bit for next turn. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no enemies in play. So I'll go ahead and ready everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. I did almost forget to get the resources I exhausted ready, but now that's taken care of. So both of our ladies will gain 1 resource and go to 3. Hey, we got there. Jacqueline draws. Emergency cash. This will be very helpful to rebuild her resources. Gain 3 resources and draw a card. Mandy draws. Mob Enforcer. This is not. 4/3/3, Prey Bearer only, Hunter. As a parlay, you have to spend 4 resources to discard Mob Enforcer. You know you shouldn't have borrowed money from the O'Banion gang. It seems like they're always looking to collect at the worst times. They are indeed. Anyway, Mythos phase net. Actually, start of round. Oh, we're clear on Prophetic because that's already got 2 resources on it. Mythos phase, second doom on the agenda. Since we're still at regular locations, we interact with the regular encounter deck. Jacqueline draws. Oh boy, Ominous Portents. Peril. You must either draw the top card of the spectral encounter deck. That card gains peril and its effects can't be cancelled, or test will. If you fail, take 2 horror. I think I'm going to actually take the will test on that because I'm up 3. Do I need to worry about her ability right now? What do I think Jacqueline is doing this round? Do I think she's going to try to get... She might have to get rid of that Mob Enforcer for Mandy. Yeah, I think we're going to just take the will test on that. She's up 3. And... yeah, I don't want that Mob Enforcer to stay around any longer than necessary, so she is going to put her ability into this. Okay. Right. Card 1 or token 1 is a skull, which we saw earlier is -X, where X is 1 plus the number of unfinished business copies in the victory display. Card token 2, I still cannot say card. +1 and a -1, a well-loved -1. So we'll cancel the -1 and the skull, and Jacqueline ducks Ominous Portents for now. And then Mandy draws another enemy. Oh joy. Revelation, 2's all around. Revelation, discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. If this effect causes the encounter deck to run out of cards, draw the topmost hex in the discard pile. The hidden cults to which these witches belonged often guarded and handed down surprising secrets from elder forgotten aeons. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. Alright, discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck, probably the regular encounter deck. And let me do a quick double check here. So, okay, to the discard pile. So basically we dump the top 2 cards of the deck, which is a Despoiled and a Vice and Villainy, which I'm not completely... I would rather have seen maybe another enemy or 2 go away, but there's no help for that now. Anyway, Jacqueline... Okay, we're going to be busy in the open player window before we leave the Mythos phase. So Jacqueline will exhaust the Arcane Initiate, and I'm going to go... I'm going to go 6 deep. Because now that I've got the Coven Initiate, that changes what I might be looking for. I might actually want a Storm of Spirits here to take care of all that. Card 1 is a Clairvoyance, a Clairvoyance level 3, which I could take. Card 2 is another Open Gate, which is also tempting. But again, probably more want to see that later. Card 3. Dark Future, which can absolutely get bent. Card 4. Crystal Pendulum, which I would love to see, but I can't take it. Card 5. Another Open Gate. Problem is those are only good in multiples, but card 6. The Black Book Signed in Blood, which I can't take. So those 3 are absolutely going back in the deck. Do I want an Open Gate or a Clairvoyance level 3? I think I will take an Open Gate and start kind of setting up a little bit for the long game. So I can try to get that down to Hangman's Brook. But that'll be later in the scenario. Like I said, I wanted to see... that more later in the scenario, but I don't think I can be too picky with that right now. And then Mandy will also exhaust her ancestral knowledge to draw a skill from under it, so she will find another Opportunist, which we will probably need to try to get past that Initiate. But anyway, we'll start the next investigation phase with Jacqueline, and we'll drop into her play area. Action 1 for Jacqueline will be to play the aforementioned emergency cache. So she'll gain 3 resources and draw a card. Take a quick look at the flavor text as well. You can never be too prepared. So Jacqueline goes up to 6 and draws another Word of Command. This could be handy. The question is, what do I want to play first? Do I want to just go get a Storm of Spirits and deal with this? Or do I think... Or do I want to just play it safe and get rid of the Mob Enforcer now? Because that's probably going to be the bigger problem. Mandy's agility isn't completely terrible right now. She's at a 4 agility right now, so she'd actually be... So if I get rid of the Mob Enforcer now, she would be evading up... So if I get rid of the Mob Enforcer now, Mandy would be evading the Coven Initiate base up 2. Which is not a terrible thing at all. So I think for now, Jacqueline will pay 4 resources and get rid of Mandy's Mob Enforcer. Like I said, I don't want him lingering any longer than necessary. And then, do we set up for later? I think we do, actually. I think we'll spend the 2 resources from Prophetic Prism to play Word of Command. And the question is, what spell do I want right now? Do I just take go grab a Shriveling and get set up for that? Or do I grab a Storm of Spirits for another enemy swarm? I think for now, looking at my hand, I've got a Clairvoyance in hand. I'm probably going to want to play this Arbiter of Fates if I have time next. But I think for now I do go get a Shriveling. So we'll go ahead and find our Shriveling level 5 right on the bottom of the deck. 4 cost to play, or 3 cost to play actually. Will and 2 combat on commit. Uses 4 charges. As an action, I can spend a charge to fight, using will instead of combat. Plus 3 will and deal plus 2 damage for the attack, but if I pull a bad symbol, I take 2 horror. Okay. Actually, you know what? Oh no. Right. Emergency cash, discard Mandy's Mob Enforcer, Word of Command. So no, Jacqueline is out of actions. I just had to make sure I had the math straight there. But anyway, we'll give that a cut. That's gone. And that will do it for Jacqueline's turn. Now let's move over to Mandy's play area. Action 1, Mandy will try to evade the Coven Initiate, and she'll commit Opportunist to go up 3. Actually, she's at 4, 5, yeah. So she's up 3 trying to evade. -1 gets her away from it, but it does discard Opportunist, which is unfortunate. And I totally forgot I can advance the act, which I probably will next turn. Action 2, since I haven't exhausted which enemy, I'll discard Maligned, just to get me clear of that now. And then for action 3, I will spend 2 resources to play out my Occult Lexicon, because testless damage is a very welcome thing anytime you can get your hands on it. Okay, no, Essence of the Dream stays there. We'll take a quick look at a Blood Rite, since one of those is going into her hand. The other 2 are getting shuffled into her deck. Blood Rite, bonded with the Occult Lexicon. Draw 2 cards, discard up to 2 cards from your hand. For each card you discard this way, you may either gain a resource or spend 1 resource to deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location, and this doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. But if you remember, because of the level 3 Occult Lexicon, we can either change each 2 to a 3 on there, or shuffle it into the or shuffle it back into the deck instead of discarding it. But anyway, give this a couple more shuffles. And a cut. Okay. That will do it for the that'll do it for Mandy, because that was her last action. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Mandy managed to exhaust our only enemy, which will bring right back to her. And we'll start to reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 resource, goes to 2. Jacqueline draws an open gate. This will be very handy. And then Mandy draws Strange Solution, Acidic Ichor. 1 cost to play, 2 combat on commit. Researched, uses 3 supplies. As an action, spend 1 supply to fight with a base combat value of 6 and deal plus 2 damage. Something we can keep an eye on there. But Mythos phase, we're up to 3 Doom on the agenda. Still interacting with the regular encounter deck. Jacqueline draws Punishment, into play in your hex area, or in your threat area. Forced after an enemy at your location is defeated, take 1 damage. As an action, test Will 3. We've seen that clause before on some of the other cards that we've had. Mandy draws Vice and Villainy, which we have to attach to an asset, to a non-permanent that I control, limit 1 per asset. When the encounter deck runs out of cards, which is probably either 1, discard attached asset. Forced. When attached asset leaves play, test Will 3. If you fail, attach Vice and Villainy to a different non-permanent asset you control. I think the way I'm going to handle that, is it's a unique challenge with the 2 encounter decks. So I think the way I'm going to rule that is that's going to be sensitive to whichever location she's at. So if she's at a spectral location, and I think this is probably the way you'd have to handle it anyway, where if you're at a spectral location and that encounter deck runs out of cards, then discard the attached asset. But if she's at a regular location and the regular deck runs out of cards, then she would discard it. So basically, it might be a little bit more convoluted than I need to make it, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So anyway, now we're going to be quite busy during the open player window. So first, Jacqueline will exhaust the Arcane Initiate. How happy am I with her? I think I'm mostly happy with her hand right now, especially now that I've got some cards that I really do like to play. Oh, by the way, start around, I almost forgot, refresh Prophetic. I think I'm okay with Jacqueline going 3 deep right now and taking 1 target. Because like I said, I'm happy with the spells I've got in her hand. I just need to get them active right now. Card 1. Crystal Pendulum, which I can't take. Card 2. Another Enchanted Bow, which I could take, but I'm probably going to end up discarding the one I have in my hand to hand size next turn. And Storm of Spirits. So I was looking for that earlier pretty aggressively, so I'll take it now just in case I get swarmed again, which is always a possibility. Alright, next up, Mandy will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw another skill from under it, so this time she will find Survey the Area. Oh my, that'll probably be very helpful to get away from the Coven Initiate. While it's in your hand or committed to a skill test, gains lore icons equal to your agility, which right now is 4, and agility icons equal to your lore, which is 6. And now, since we do have the aforementioned 6 clues that we need on the Act, we get to advance the Act deck. Okay. Right. The barrier crossed. Let me see if I can get over to this side of the light so I can... That's moderately helpful. Soft chanting guides you to a gloomy clearing near the abandoned chapel. A circle of witchweed surrounds the clearing, swaying gently in the breeze. At the center of the clearing, a cloaked woman kneels before an unmarked grave, far from the rest of the courtyard. You watch in quiet for a few minutes while the woman sings an old, somber melody. It reminds you somewhat of a child's lullaby, with a dark gravity that betrays its purpose. As soon as the song ends, she turns to face you. You recognize Erin by her crimson red hair and the dark circles that hang beneath her eyes. You again. She rises. Have you come here for answers, as I have? Spawn 1 set-aside heretic enemy at each of the following locations: the Gallows, Heretic's Graves, Chapel Attic, and Chapel Crypt. Add 2 per investigator clues to each location. Put the set-aside Erin Macaode story asset into play at the Haunted Fields, under no investigator's control. Each investigator puts into play 1 set-aside spectral web asset under their control. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of that off camera, and then we'll move over to the map so I can point everything out. So we have added 4 clues to each location, including this one that turned into a mess. Erin Macaode has joined us at the Haunted Fields, and then we'll take a look at the heretics that are now at Heretic's Graves, the Gallows, Chapel Crypt, and Chapel Attic. We'll take a look at one of them. They all have different text on the other side. And then we'll actually have 2 Act 2s to look at. We'll end up using both of them. So anyway, the Heretic, 2 per investigator, or 4, 2, 3. Monster, Geist, Witch, Spectral, Elite. Gets +2 per investigator health, so they actually have 6 health. While Heretic is at a non-spectral location, it gains aloof and can't be engaged or damaged. As an action, or as a free action, we can spend 1 clue to parlay, looking at the Heretic's other side without resolving its text. Forced after Heretic is defeated, flip it over and resolve the text on its other side. And once again, I'll go through each location as I move over to it, but we'll take a look at our 2 acts. So, our normal Act 2 is In Pursuit of the Living. With the mist comes the remnants of the past, witches who were executed hundreds of years ago, and whose hateful spirits have returned to wreak vengeance upon the living. If you can banish them, you might learn more of the Coven's secrets. As a fast action, flip your location over, group limit once per round at each location. Clues cannot be discovered at non-spectral locations. Objective, banish as many heretics as you can. If there are 4 copies of unfinished business in the victory display, advance. But we do have another option here. Because we're on this path where Aaron wanted to meet, we also have In Pursuit of the Beyond. The spirits of my kin are restless, Aaron explains, but the knowledge they possess is too great to ignore. Please, help me learn from them. When you would banish a ghost, you may place it beneath Aaron Macaode, heretic side face up. If you're at Aaron Macaode's location, spend 1 per investigator clues to parlay. Choose a heretic beneath her and place it beneath this act. Objective, help Aaron find answers by placing heretics beneath this act. If there are 3 beneath this act, advance. Okay, so that was all in the open player window during the Mythos phase. So now we need to flip these locations over to their spectral sides, but that's going to change the deck that we're interacting with. Also, we gain Spectral Web. So investigators at your location spend 1 to 3 clues as a group to fight. Use this ability only to attack a Geist enemy. You may choose to use your will instead of your combat for this attack. You get plus X skill value and deal plus X damage for the attack, where X is the amount of clues spent to trigger this ability. So I think we probably put Mandy primarily on clue detail after she gets away from this Coven Initiate. We do have a lot of options here. So I think what we'll do, actually I think the better idea is probably going to be to put a Find Gate down here rather than put it at Hangman's Brook. But anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. I think our first turn will actually belong to Jacqueline, and we'll head over to her play area. That is a group limit once per round at each location. Okay. So I think for a fast action, first of all, Jacqueline is going to flip the Haunted Fields over to its spectral side, which means if they stay there, and I think they both probably are staying there this round, then they'll be interacting with the spectral encounter deck. I was trying to think of the word. So anyway, let's take a look at the spectral location. Each as a shroud of 3. It's already got the 8 clues on it. Each spectral enemy at Haunted Fields gets +1 horror value. Haunted, move the nearest spectral enemy once toward Haunted Fields. This realm tolerates no life whatsoever. That's moderately depressing, but anyway. Action 1 will be to spend the 2 resources off of Prophetic, plus, what do I need to pay? I need to pay 2 more resources? Yes, I need to pay 2 more resources to play a Clairvoyance level 5. So I'll get 3 charges for it, and as an action I can spend a charge to investigate. Using will instead of lore, I get +3 lore for this investigation, and discover 2 additional clues if I succeed at the location. But if I pull a good symbol, I take 2 horror. So that's action 1. Action 2 will be to take a resource, just to set up for next turn. And then action 3, I will investigate, and I'll throw her ability into this. So right now I'm at 5, 8, 9. I'll commit my Enchanted Bow to get to 10. So I'm up 7. Does Mandy have any heads she wants to commit? She does not. So up 7 and I'm pulling 3. Oh, I forgot to get the charges for it. But I will... I'll get 2 of them out. There we are. 2 charges. Token 1 on the investigation. -3. Which, remember, I'm up 7 on this investigation, going for 3 clues. Token 2 is a -1, which that wouldn't fail as if this is a tentacle. It's a +1, so I'll cancel the +1 and the -3, so I don't have to take 2 horror, and then Jacqueline will get 3 clues off of the haunted fields. And then that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's got to evade this Coven Initiate, so let's move over to her play area. Action 1, she will try to evade the Coven Initiate. She'll commit Opportunist to go up 3, and the Research Librarian... yeah, we'll commit the Research Librarian to go up 4. Elder Thing is -2. If you fail and this is an attack or evasion attempt, resolve each haunted ability on your location. So it was an evasion, but -2 isn't enough to fail this test. So she doesn't evade the Coven Initiate, but she loses both Opportunist and Research Librarian. Action 2, I think, will be to start working on clues. So we'll investigate 5, 6, 7 to 3, up 4. +1 gets Mandy a clue. And action 3 will run the investigate back. Tentacle touched. Which I'm not too broken up about that right now, but anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase. Our only relevant enemy is the Coven Initiate, but Mandy evaded that, so we'll bring that right back to Mandy, since she'll have the best chance to evade it. We'll start resetting everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain one resource and go to 3, as will Mandy. Jacqueline will draw. Open Gate. This is actually... well, I don't know if we need 3 of them now. Mandy draws. Eon Chart. 2 cost to play. Lore and Agility on commit. Uses 3 secrets. During your turn, exhaust Eon Chart and spend 1 secret. Choose and take one of the following actions. Move, evade, or investigate, and it's our accessory. Now, one thing to be careful of with a card like this is because it says take the following action, it will trigger an attack of opportunity if we don't use an evade action while Mandy's engaged with the Coven Initiate. But anyway, Mythos phase, Doom goes up to 4. And now both Jacqueline and Mandy are drawing from the Spectral Encounter deck, so Jacqueline draws. From the other side, test Agility 3. If you fail, resolve the haunted ability on your location. If you fail by 3 or more, resolve each of them twice instead. Oh, well, actually, this might be a little... this might be a little bit of a slight cheat code for this scenario, because if I look at because if we resolve the haunted abilities, that'll pull... Well, the only problem there is that'll pull 2 spectral enemies into our location, which... Actually, that might still be helpful. But... yeah. Okay, so move the nearest spectral enemy once toward haunted fields. This, like I said, this might actually be something this might be something I don't mind too much, actually. So... I don't think I mind the fail on this at all, actually. So we're actually going to test this down 1. A 0 means we do resolve the haunted ability, so we move the nearest spectral enemy once toward the haunted fields. Now, I do want to check something, because if there's a tie, I think you just... in the event of a tie, do the investigators choose, or do you resolve both? Grim Rule says both. Grim Rule would probably say resolve what would actually be worse. It doesn't say in the event of a tie. So I think for now, we just resolve the... I think we resolve that the first heretic moves. That one heretic moves. I'll move the one from the heretic's graves, and we'll give that to Mandy. So that's gone. Mandy draws. Unavoidable Demise. Test Agility 2. If you fail, take 2 damage. If you succeed, put it into play next to the agenda deck. While Unavoidable Demise is next to the agenda deck, each other copy gets +1 difficulty and deals +1 damage if the test is failed. So right now, she's up 1, and I think that is where she will test. -3 means Mandy takes 2 damage. Not ideal, but we can probably deal with it in the grand scheme of things. That goes into the spectral discard pile. Anyway, investigation phase now, and we're going to start with Jacqueline, and we're going to move into her play area. Actually, before... yeah. I also did forget start around prophetic refreshes, and then what I was going to do is I was going to do my end of Mythos phase fun and games. So first up, we'll exhaust the Arcane Initiate, go for 3 cards. And yeah, 3 cards, and I think we'll take 1 target. First up we find Enchanted Bow, which I don't particularly want right now. Crystal Pendulum, which I can't even take, and Read the Signs. This I might want. 2 cost to play, Will and Lore on commit. Investigate, adding Will to your skill value for the investigation. You may ignore any effect or keyword on your location which would trigger during the investigation. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at your location. That's actually pretty tempting right now, and I think I will take it. So I'll take Read the Signs here. Okay. I never checked my hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I would have had to discard to hand size like I thought. So I'll discard I'll discard one when I find gates, actually. I was thinking about Rite of Seeking, but we're all clear now. And then Mandy will exhaust her ancestral knowledge to draw her last skill from under it, so she will draw another survey of the area. Okay, cool. Alright, so action 1 for Jacqueline. She'll spend the resources from Prophetic to play Read the Signs. So once again, we're adding her will to her lore for the investigation. So she's going to be investigating at 9 to 3. She's up 6 for 2 clues. Okay, I didn't use her ability yet. I'm probably going to for the next investigation, though. -1 gets her 2 clues. As I alluded to briefly, action 2 will be to investigate again. I'm going to use a charge of clairvoyance this time. And I'm going to throw Jacqueline's ability into this one. So I'm at 6, 9 to 3. I'm up 6, and I'm pulling 3 tokens. That's 3. Okay. Oop. Token 1. Elder Thing, which I'll probably... Well, I'm going to have to pull a doozy of a combination. Actually, I don't think I can fail this, because I cancel a tentacle. Let's see, that's a -2, and I'm at 9 to 3. I'm up 6. Token 2. A +1, which I will have to cancel so I don't take a lot of horror, and a -3. So I'll cancel the +1 and the Elder Thing, and I'll get the last 2 clues off that location for Jacqueline. Let's see, and then okay, Read the Signs is gone. Then I'm actually going to flip Haunted Fields back to its regular side, back to its normal side, so the Heretic will gain Aloof at this point, which means we can't touch it, but I'm fine with that because I'm not quite ready to deal with it yet anyway. And then for action 3, actually let's pay 3 resources and get a Shriveling into play. This way I have some other way this way I have a more permanent way that I can attack. So I'll get the 4 charges out for that. And now I think Jacqueline is probably going to turn into... I think Jacqueline's probably going to start digging really hard. I think Jacqueline, at this point, probably needs to start digging for Twilla. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Mandy needs to evade this Covenant Initiate. And she will commit... So she'll start off with her evade, and she'll commit one of her copies of Survey the Area. I mean, this is probably going to be overkill. Well, actually, let's not commit it yet. She's up 2. -2 evades the Initiate. I kind of want her to stay put for now, just so I can probably be more likely to evade. You know what, action 2 is actually going to be to discard Jacqueline's punishment, which goes into the normal discard pile. And then for 1 resource, action 3 will be for Mandy to play out Strange Solution. So researched uses 3 supplies. Look at the supplies. Action, spend a supply to fight with a base combat of 6 and deal +2 damage. Ooh. Alright, so we'll get the 3 supplies out for that. These will do. But anyway, that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, no enemies in play, so we'll go ahead and re-ready everything. The Covenant Initiate comes right back to Mandy. And then we'll reset all of this. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep Phase. Jacqueline will gain a resource, go up to 1. Mandy will gain 1 as well and go up to 3. Jacqueline draws. Dark Future. This is a problem. So I can't ignore or cancel symbols. At the end of my turn, I reveal 5 random tokens from the bag. If I pull an Elder Sign, I discard Dark Future. Mandy draws. Surprising find. I was hoping to see this actually come up during the scenario for once. When you search your deck and Surprising Find is among the searched cards, put it into play in your play area. You must commit it to the next skill test you perform. If the test is successful, draw 1 card. Max 1 research ability per search. Mythos Phase, Doom on the Agenda goes up to 5, and now we're interacting with the standard encounter deck. Oh, start of round, Prophetic refreshes, and then Mythos Phase happens, Doom up to 5. Jacqueline draws. Gravelight. If Gravelight is drawn, it was drawn from the standard encounter deck, so it goes into the spectral encounter deck. So I shuffle it into the spectral deck and it gains Surge. So this is actually still going to end up being Jacqueline's card. All right. And then Jacqueline draws. Unhallowed Land. Test Agility 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If a Cursed Treachery is discarded by this effect, deal 1 direct horror to your investigator and to each of your ally assets. That would just defeat the Arcane Initiate. So I'm going to try to protect the Arcane Initiate by having Mandy commit one of her copies of Survey the Area. So it gains agility equal to her lore, which right now is actually 7, because I can't do first grade math. So that's an extra 7 agility, which means Jacqueline is up 4. And I'm not going to throw her ability into this. A +1 keeps Jacqueline clear of that. Thank you, Mandy. And then Mandy draws. Despoiled. Put Despoiled into play in your threat area. Forced. After you succeed at a skill test during your turn, increase the difficulty of each subsequent test you perform this turn by 1. And then the test with which enemy's in play. But anyway, Mythos Phase, or not, end of the Mythos Phase, I'm glad the Arcane Initiate survived, because we can exhaust her to go 3 deep for a spell. What do I even want right now? I think I need... What I really need right now is Twila, in all honesty. The problem is I can't take her if I find her here. So I might have to do resource/digging for Twila. But anyway, card 1. Occult Theory, which I can't take. Card 2. Clairvoyance, which I could take, and I might have to by default. That's a Clairvoyance level 3, by the way. And Crystal Pendulum, so I have to take Clairvoyance by default. And then there's no point to exhausting Ancestral Knowledge since there are no skills left under it. Jacqueline's actually near the end of her deck, too. The question now is, do we go for that Heretic, or... I think we do, actually. I think we're ready at this point. Unfortunately, I can't cancel, like I said, I can't cancel symbols, but I think we're ready at this point. So we'll go to, into the investigation phase next. We'll go to Jacqueline and we'll drop down to her play area. Open player window before we start Jacqueline's turn. We will flip the Haunted Fields, which means the Heretic will make friends. I'll give that to Jacqueline. I don't think it's staying around long, but I can't get ahead of ourselves there. So for action 1, I will spend the 2 resources from Prophetic Prism and one from a resource pool. I don't know why I was thinking of magic there. To play Storm of Spirits. So I'm using Will instead of Combat, and I get +2 Will for the attack. If I succeed, I deal 3 damage to each enemy at my location, but if I pull a bad symbol, each investigator takes 2 damage. I'm going to aim at the... Oh boy. If this misses, I take Mandy out, and I can't afford to miss. So I will aim at the... I'll have to aim at the Heretic, but I'm still... Looking at my stat line, I'm still up 5, 6, 8. I'm still up 4. Do I throw something else into this? No, I think we're fine. So I think we'll test up 4. Throwing her ability into this is tempting too, but remember I can't cancel symbols, so that ability is basically useless. A +1, thankfully. So the Covenant initiates Toast, and the Heretic takes 3 damage. Then action 2, I'll hit it with the charge of Shriveling. This time I get +3. This time I get +3, so I'm at 5, 6, 9. I'm up 5 this time, trying to defeat this Heretic. Actually, before I do that, I am probably still going to end up doing that, but I'm going to back up slightly, and I'm going to do a fast action so I can spend a clue to parlay and figure out what in the world she's after. So I can look at the text, look at the other side without resolving its text. Please. I need air. The drowned spirit lunges for you, croaking with garbled sounds of torment. Sodden weeds are tangled through its hair. Keep this card in your threat area, this side face up. If you're eliminated, flip it over. At the end of the round, you must either discard an asset you control or flip this card back to its enemy side. Action: if you're at Hangman's Brook and it has no clues on it, test a skill of your choice, 5. If you succeed, this ghost is banished. Resolve its text below. So now action 2, I will use a charge of Shriveling into the Heretic. So I'm still... That's got 3 damage on it, so I'm still up 5. Elder Thing is minus, as we saw earlier, is -2. If you fail and this is an attack or evasion attempt, resolve each haunted ability on your location, except we didn't fail, but Jacqueline does take 2 horror from the attack, because we couldn't cancel symbols. So that was action 2, which means now, that's at the end of the round. So as an action, if I'm at Hangman's Brook, and when I would banish a ghost, I can instead place it beneath Aaron, Heretic side face up, which I will actually do that test. So it's a difficulty 5. I'm at 6 right now. I will commit one of my copies of Open Gate to go up 2. Does Mandy have any head that I want to commit? We'll give her Surprising Find to put her up 3. So Jacqueline is up 3. Skull is minus X, where X is 1 higher than the number of copies of unfinished business in the victory display. So that goes... So this would be getting banished, so I'll go ahead and read this. At the bottom of the riverbank, you find the spirit's remains. You dig a shallow grave beside the brook, and there you lay its body to rest, dry and safe at long last. Add this card to the victory display, except we're banishing it, and we're putting it under Aaron instead. So it goes under Aaron, heretic side face up. And that is not as a group action, so that's rather unfortunate. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline's turn, and that is her end of turn. So I'll use her ability on Dark Future, mainly because I want to get rid of this thing pronto. So basically I'm pulling 7 symbols, and I'm pulling 7 tokens, and I'm ignoring 2 of them. Let's see, that's 3. That should be 4. No Elder Sign, so that's unfortunately still a thing. No help for it at this point, but we do have 1 heretic of 3 that we need to advance. So I'll probably leave Jacqueline there, and we've already flipped that location for the round. So Jacqueline will be dealing with the Spectral deck anyway. Mandy's turn will take us over to the map. Action 1 will bring Mandy over to the Heretic's graves. We'll take a look at the revealed side first, or the normal side first, but remember, we can't discover clues here. We are probably flipping this location right away, though. Shroud of 7 with the 4 clues on it. While investigating Heretic's graves, add your will value to your skill value for this investigation. Only witches and criminals occupy these graves. Their tombstones have been left unmarked so as to forever erase memory of their foul deeds. And then this flips, like I said, we're going to flip this right away. While you're investigating, add your will value to your skill value for the attack, for the investigation. Haunted, reduce your base will to 1 until the end of your next turn. Oh joy. So we'll get the 4 clues there. And then the flavor text was, will you be remembered? Let's see, that was action 1. Action 2 will be to investigate. We're at 5, 6, 7, plus 3 is 10, so we're up by Mandy's will. Skull, as we saw earlier, is minus X, where X is 1 higher than the number of copies of unfinished business in the victory display. So Mandy gets a clue. And then for action 3, we'll run that back because of Despoiled. She's only up 2. Tentacle touched. Alright, well, such is life. But anyway, that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, our other 3 heretics right now are aloof. So we'll flip everything over, start getting everything ready. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain a resource, go to 1. Mandy will gain 1 resource, go to 4. Jacqueline draws. Medicio della Peste. Limit 1 mask in play. After it enters play, you heal 1 damage or 1 horror. And then when you initiate a non-will test, discard Medicio della Peste. Use will for this test instead of the skill indicated. Mandy draws. Another copy of Bloodright. This could be very handy, especially if I want to go try to deal with the heretic up at the Hallows next, which I might have to. Anyway, we saw this. We have a copy of this in her hand already. But Mythos Phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 6. They're both interacting with the Spectral Encounter deck. So Jacqueline draws. Unavoidable Demise. Test Agility 2. We saw this earlier. If you succeed, next to the agenda deck. If you fail, take 2 damage. And then while it's next to the agenda deck, each other copy gets +1 if you fail. And right now she's even. And passes. So that'll go next to the agenda deck. And then Mandy draws. Burdens of the Past. If there are no copies of Unfinished Business in your threat area, Burdens of the Past gains Surge. Alright, so that surges into Bloodthirsty Spirits. Put it into play in your threat area. While your location is haunted, as an additional cost for you to commit 1 or more cards to a skill test, you must resolve each haunted ability on your location. Forced, at the end of your turn, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard Bloodthirsty Spirits. Alright, well, that's not too catastrophically bad. In fact, that could actually end up being useful for us, potentially. But I'm getting ahead of myself there because it's the investigation phase now. And Jacqueline... Is Jacqueline just working? Actually, Jacqueline will first exhaust the Arcane Initiate. I forgot to unexhaust. We'll go look for 3 cards look for 3 cards, and we can grab a spell. We grabbed Clairvoyance, which reminds me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, all clear there. So anyway, first card up. Internal Injury, which can get bent. Another copy of Shriveling level 5, which I could take, and Occult Theory, so I'm left with Shriveling by default. But anyway, there's a temptation here. I did forget once again to refresh the Prophetic. Alright, so into the investigation phase now, and Jacqueline's turn will take us over to the map. Action 1 will spend 2 clues to choose a heretic beneath Aaron and put it under in Pursuit of the Beyond. So we're going to take the 1 heretic that we put under Aaron and put it under the Act. Action 2 will move Jacqueline over to Heretic's Graves. In Action 3, I'm going to use her last charge of Clairvoyance. So I get to add my will to the skill value for the investigation. So I think I just investigate using will instead of lore. So I think I just add my base will to the investigation. That seems like it. Yeah, that seems like it could be very busted here, but I'm going to welcome it wholeheartedly. So, we're at 5, 6. I get +3 from Clairvoyance is 8, plus another 6 is 14. So Jacqueline is up 7 to potentially clear that location out of clues. A 0 deals her 2 horror, but it does clear that location of clues, so very nice. So Jacqueline gets 3 more clues off of there. And then the question now is, do I want to flip that back? Do I mind that being a... what side do I want that to be? I think that can probably stay... I think that can probably flip. So I think we'll flip that back to its normal side, which isn't going to do anything, which is going to keep us in the general and in the regular encounter deck for this round. But anyway, at the end of Jacqueline's turn, I'm going to use her ability to try to get rid of Dark Future. One, two, three. 4, 5, 6, and I do see the Elder Sign, so I'll still reveal one more symbol. 7. So I'll cancel 2 skulls, because why not? But I did reveal the Elder Sign, so Dark Future is very much gone, thankfully. Anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy... we might actually cheese this just a little bit. So... Action 1. Action 1, I'm going to pay 2 resources to play Eon Chart. So I get 3 secrets, and during my turn I can exhaust it and spend 1 secret to take one of the following actions. Move, evade, or investigate. So I'll get the 3 charges for that. Action 2, I'm going to actually, fast action, I'm going to exhaust the no, I don't need to do that yet. Action 2, I'll just move over to the Haunted Fields. And then I'll exhaust Janae to bring a clue down from the gallows to it. And then action 3, I will investigate. No need to commit right now. I'm up. Actually, better idea. Let's do this. Action 3, I'll pay 2 resources to play out her Hawkeye folding camera. We saw that earlier. And then I'll exhaust the Eon Chart and spend a charge to investigate. And I don't think I want to commit anything. No. 5, 6, 7 to 3 up 4. A 0 gets her the clue and a charge on a Hawkeye folding camera, which is very welcome. So we'll get that, which means Mandy now has +1 will, so she's at a will of 4 right now. And then I'm going to... I didn't flip the Haunted Fields this round. No, I'll leave it. I'll leave it as Spectral. But anyway, that will do it for Mandy, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no hunters in play. I'm surprised that these heretics aren't hunters, but anyway. We'll go ahead and ready everything here. Oh, end of turn, Mandy's got to test Will 3. If she succeeds, discard Bloodthirsty Spirit. I'm even, and here's, actually I'm up 1 thanks to Hawkeye Folding Camera, and here's actually a rare situation where I would be very okay with failing. Yeah, we are up 1. A 0 means we get rid of Bloodthirsty Spirits. I was going to try to cheese that out a little bit, but alas, no dice. Anyway, enemy phase, no hunter enemies in play, so we're starting to ready everything. I'll actually remember to unexhaust some of these cards. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase after I change my battery. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes up to 2. Mandy gains 1 resource. Jacqueline draws. Occult Theory. While it's in your hand, it's basically survey the area, giving will icons equal to lore and lore equal to will. So right now, Jacqueline would get 3 will icons and 6 will. Let me check hand size here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I do have to discard. I will discard. I'll discard Rite of Seeking. And then Mandy draws Tooth of Esli, 3 cost to play, will on commit. +1 will and +1 agility while resolving a treachery. After you succeed at a skill test while on a treachery card, exhaust the tooth to draw 1 card. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 7. Jacqueline's at a regular location, so she's drawing from this deck. She draws a Coven Initiates. Discard the top 2 cards of the general deck. We saw this earlier, so if this effect causes the encounter deck to run out of cards, which it won't, draw the topmost hex in the discard pile. So we get rid of an Omen and a Vengeful Witch. That's very welcome. And then Mandy's at a spectral location, so she'll interact with that deck. She'll draw Gravelight. Oh joy. If it's drawn from the standard deck, shuffle it into the spectral deck, which it wasn't. If it's drawn from the spectral deck, take 2 damage and place it in the standard encounter discard pile. Oh, fantastic. Alright, so Mandy drew that, which is unfortunate, but anyway, those are all clear. And then Jacqueline will... Right, I'll leave those close. We'll go ahead and do our open player window stuff. So Jacqueline will draw 3 looking for a spell. Card 1. Emergency Cash, I would want to see that, but I can't take it. Card 2. Crystal Pendulum. And the Black Book. So I end up failing to find there, which is unfortunate, but there's no help for that. What do we want to do here? So we'll shuffle that. Do I want to do anything with the Eon chart right now? I don't think I do. I could send her investigating, which might not be a terrible idea. But, actually, yeah, that's a potentially dangerous. No, I think we can do something with this. So we'll Eon chart Mandy over to the map. Alright, so Eon chart will take Mandy over to the abandoned chapel, which we're also likely going to flip, so I can start working on getting the clues here. But anyway, on the general side, try to 2 4 clues. During the Mythos phase, each investigator in Abandoned Chapel gets -1 to each skill. This old, broken-down chapel has been abandoned for several decades now. I think we went through this already, so we'll flip it over into the same Mythos clause, and then haunted until the end of the round, you get -1 to each skill. In life, malfeasance. In dying, reconciliation. In death, reverence. Okay, I really wish I had Milan right now, because I'll probably be doing a lot of investigating this round with Mandy, but no help for that here. So, investigation phase now, and I think we'll stay right here with Mandy. Put a resource on our abandoned chapel to remind me that I'd flipped it. Action 1, I will investigate. Right now I'm up 5, 6, 7. Right now I'm up 5. And I don't have anything I want to commit. So let's do that. Elder Thing, as we saw earlier, is -2, but this isn't an attack or evasion attempt, so it's just a -2. So Mandy gets a clue. Action 2 will run it back. A 0 gets her another clue. And action 3 will move up to the chapel crypt. So we'll take a quick look at this, which has got the 4 clues on it, but I don't think we're going to flip it yet. While there are no ready enemies at Chapel Crypt and there is the heretic there, it gets -3 shroud. A narrow stone staircase guides you deep below the chapel, where those of good repute were given proper burials. In a far corner of the room, a strange, dusty contraption is connected to one of the coffins, as dead as everything else in this room. I could have actually taken an Eon chart action up there. No, I couldn't have. So 2 investigates and a move up there. So that will do it for Mandy. I'm going to leave that location flipped for the time being because I'm not quite ready to deal with that heretic yet and get her and keep her moving. But anyway, that'll do it for Mandy. Jacqueline's turn will take us back down her play area. The plan for Jacqueline right now I think is pretty simple. Kill this Coven Initiate and then start digging like crazy for Twila. So that's active again. Action 1. I'll put a charge of Shriveling into the Initiate. This is probably overkill, but given that I want to make sure this gets gone so I can start working on digging and setting up for Twila, I'm going to put her ability into this as well, so I'm pulling 3 tokens. And I'm up 5, 6, 9. I'm up 7 doing 3 damage. Alright, 3 tokens. Token 1. Does not want to focus for me. Good grief, come on. Well, let's see if we can... That's a -1. Token 2. A 0. And... a skull. So we'll cancel the skull and the -1. The Coven Initiate is toast. Very dead. And then action 2 will be to draw a card. So Jacqueline will draw. Read the signs, which is not what I was after, but I'll take it. And we'll draw again for card 3. Jacqueline will draw. Storm of Spirits, which might be almost as helpful actually. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to be discarding some cards from Jacqueline's hand at end of round. But anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the only enemy that we are worried about right now is the heretic on Mandy, but that's still aloof. So we'll go ahead and start readying everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 2. Jacqueline draws. Drawn to the Flame, which might be almost as helpful. Draw the top card of the encounter deck, then discover 2 clues at your location. And then we do have to discard cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I will discard Arcane Studies. Do we still have 2 open gates in hand? No, I think I used them earlier. So I'll discard 1 of those and... flip. I don't want to... Oh, Maestro della Peste. I think those are the worst cards in my hand right now. And then Mandy will draw. Another deduction. Not something we necessarily need, but something we may be able to keep an eye on. But anyway, Mythos phase, the agenda advances. So we'll take a look at this. Okay. Death's Descent. The sobs of the dead echo throughout the woods, accompanied by murmured promises and whispered threats. But when the spectral mist blots out the sky, all turns quiet and still. Your hair stands on end and you begin to tremble. Every fiber of your being screams flight. The hunter has smelled the blood of its prey and now it has come to claim your fate. Flip each location to its spectral side. Put the set-aside Spectral Watcher enemy into play at Hangman's Brook. Shuffle the remainder of the set-aside Watcher Encounter set into the Spectral Encounter deck, along with the Spectral Discard pile. So now what I'm gathering is, well, we'll see that in a minute, but we'll go ahead and flip all of these locations over to their Spectral sides. Which leaves Mandy with a big problem now, because now she's got to make friends with the Heretic. Because now she's got the Heretic for a friend, but... Alright, we got to flip the Chapel Attic over as well. Actually, I might be able to deal with that potentially, but... a lot of that's going to turn on how things go. So the Watchers now come to join the party at Hangman's Brook. Alert and Hunter, 3/5/3. Force. When the Spectral Watcher is defeated, instead of discarding it, heal all damage from it, disengage it from all investigators, and exhaust it. Doesn't ready during the upkeep phase this round. Okay, then those go into the Spectral Encounter discard pile, and this deck gets shuffled. Okay, so that's flipped. Oh, so that's cut. Death's Approach. Hangman's Hill is plunged into darkness as the spectral mist invades every inch of the woods and the chapel. Somewhere in the mist, the Watcher spies its prey with eyes as empty as graves. Locations can't be flipped over. 7 doomed to advance. Alright, so now that we're both at spectral locations, we're all drawing from the Spectral Encounter deck. So Jacqueline draws Fate of All Fools. Uh-oh. If there's no other copy of Fate of All Fools in play, put it into your threat area. Otherwise, an investigator with another copy of Fate of All Fools in their threat area draws the top card of the encounter deck. That card gains peril, its effects can't be cancelled, and cards can't be committed to skill tests while resolving its revelation effect. Oh, fantastic. Mandy draws Watcher's Grasp. Heal 3 damage from the Spectral Watcher. Ready the Spectral Watcher. It moves, engages, and attacks as if it were the enemy phase. Throughout the resolution of this effect, the Spectral Watcher gains Prey U. Oh dear. That's going to be a big problem for Mandy, which means she's basically trapped right now in the Chapel Crypt. But anyway, that'll do it for the Mythos phase. Unfortunately, the Watcher did move to the abandoned chapel. Investigation phase now, and actually, before we do that, once again, I'm going to remember. So Jacqueline will exhaust the Arcane Initiate to dig the top 3 of her deck, which is getting pretty light at this point, for a spell. Spell card 1. Chthonian Stone, which is not a spell. Card 2. Emergency Cash. I also can't take that. And Internal Injury. So once again, I fail to find. Well, we do have another option here. What I need to figure out. Actually, I have a little bit of an idea. Jacqueline could take an attack of opportunity and a regular attack. The question is, could Jacqueline take a... Oh, each spectral enemy at the haunted fields gets +1 horror value. Jacqueline couldn't take that, so never mind that plan. The idea I had kicking around in my head was moving Jacqueline up to the gallows, take the heretic, take an attack of opportunity to move down, and then have the Spectral Watcher move to Jacqueline on her turn. But no, that won't fly. That won't fly because Jacqueline doesn't have the sanity to take that. So I think our plan here needs to be... Well, let's start with by Eon charting our way down to Mandy's play area before we leave the Mythos phase. I was hemming and hawing about actually using the Eon chart for a minute, but yeah, Mandy does need to do this. So she's got to try to evade that heretic, and I'm going to commit Survey the Area to give her 6 more agility icons. So she's up 7 trying to evade the heretic. A -1 evades that, but it is going to make subsequent tests this round more difficult. So I do need to keep an eye on that. Although there's a temptation to just get rid of Despoiled while I've got the heretic exhausted. But anyway, now we're ready to leave the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now. Choose... We use Will instead of Combat. You get +X skill value. Spend 1 to 3 clues as a group. Well, I think we will start with Mandy, and we'll start at the map. Actually, we'll start right here at our play area. Action 1, Mandy's going to spend a charge of her Strange Solution into the... Actually, no. Action 1, before we do that, we're actually going to discard Despoiled, because I only want to be having 1 more skill difficulty on these tests this round. So action 1 is to do that. Action 2, we'll put a charge into the heretic. So right now we're at 6 to 5, so we're only up 1? Yikes. Yeah, I think up 1 is where she has to test. Unfortunately, there's a lot that can fail her. Like that. -2, if you fail and this is an attack or evasion attempt, resolve each haunted ability. So I didn't see what the haunted ability was there. Spawn the top card of your deck face down, engaged with you. Treat that card as a reanimated dead enemy with 1 fight, 1 health, 1 evade, 1 damage, and the monster trait. Oh joy. So now Mandy's got to spawn this engaged with her. Yeah, she cannot survive that. So I think action 2 needs... Well, she can actually put the damage on Janae. Action 2 will be to, I guess, punch it? Actually, to spend your own resource to deal a damage. So I think I will play... I think for action 2, I'll actually play a copy of Bloodright. So do I want to change it to 2 cards, or do I want to change it to 3, or do I want to shuffle it back in? I think... Actually, I'm going to shuffle it back in. So we'll draw 2 cards. So card 1 is Amnesia. Oh boy, that's going to be a problem. And quick thinking. So I have to finish resolving the action. So I'll I'll discard 2 cards, since I'm going to be discarding them anyway. Tooth of Esley and Deduction. I'll use 1 to gain a resource and the other to take out this monster, which was you handle this one. And then Amnesia resolves, where I have to choose and discard all but 1 card from my hand. So I'm going to keep another copy. Well, one Blood Right's getting shuffled back in. I'll discard the Quick Thinking. Okay, that was problematic. That kind of blew up in my face a little bit. And then the Watcher's is probably going to get to Mandy this turn. So I think I just keep this other Blood Right and take a resource. I think we'll do that. That will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline's turn will take us over to the map. Action 1 for Jacqueline will be to move up to the Gallows, which will take a look at the spectral side on this. X is the number of Geist enemies in play, which right now is 3. Haunted, discard the top 3 cards of the spectral encounter deck. If a Geist enemy is discarded by this effect, draw it. One last gasp. And then Jacqueline makes friends with a Heretic, which hopefully won't be for too long, because action 2 will spend a charge of Shriveling into it. So it's a fight of 4. I'm at 5, 6, 9. I'm up 5, and I'm going to throw Jacqueline's ability into... I'm not going to throw it in yet. Skull, which actually is going to deal her 2 horror, so I probably should have thrown that into this, but Skull is 1 minus the number of copies of Unfinished Business, but the Heretic does take 3 damage. And then action 3, we will throw Jacqueline's ability in this time to the last charge of Shriveling, and I'll spend the 2 resources from Prophetic, which is probably overkill, but mostly because I get those back anyway. So I'm up 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. I'm up 7 this time, and I'm pulling 3 tokens. Just 1 more. There we go. Token 1. A Skull, which I need to cancel if I can. Elder Sign, which I will cancel if I can as well, and a +1. So I'll cancel the Skull and the Elder Sign, which means this Heretic is defeated and I get to find out its text. So let's flip it over and find out. It's coming. It's coming for us both. The Wraith is in a panic, casting its gaze into the dark woods in search of some enigmatic predator. What could something that is dead possibly fear? Keep this card in your threat area. Forced. At the start of the enemy phase, if the Spectral Watcher is in play, ready it. Action, evade. Use only on the Spectral Watcher. Use your lowest skill for this evasion attempt. If you succeed, this ghost is banished. Resolve the text below in addition to evading the Spectral Watcher. Oh joy. So we need to try to evade the Spectral Watcher. Jacqueline is using... she can use either one, either combat or agility. So we do have some options there. But anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the aforementioned Spectral Watcher makes friends with Mandy and deals 1 and 1, which I will put on the... So I'll put on Janae. Then the Heretic wakes up, makes friends with Mandy again. And then we'll move back up, and then we'll start re-readying everything. And we'll move back up top for the Upkeep Phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes up to 4. Mandy also gains 1 and goes up to 4. I forgot to reset everything for the action tokens. I'll do that real quick. Jacqueline draws. Occult Theory. Let me check her hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have to discard 1 card. I will discard Read the Signs. Mandy draws. Magnifying Glass, which isn't particularly helpful right now. Fast, +1 lore while investigating. Mythos Phase, first Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Watcher's Grasp. This is actually immensely helpful because it comes off of Mandy. Heal 3 damage from the Spectral Watcher. Ready the Spectral Watcher. It moves, engages, and attacks as though it were the enemy phase. Throughout the resolution of this effect, the Spectral Watcher gains Prey U. So the Spectral Watcher comes off Mandy and moves down to the Abandoned Chapel. Mandy draws. Unstable Energies. Attached to your location. Forced. When you leave attached location, resolve each haunted ability on it. At the end of the round, if there are no investigators at attached location, discard Unstable Energies. Looking here, spawn the top card of your deck face down engaged with you. Treat that card as a reanimated dead enemy with 1 fight, 1 health, 1 evade, 1 damage, and the monster trait. So that's going to evade. That's going to probably cause Mandy some problems as well. But anyway, that will bring us into the investigation phase now. And Move, evade for Jacqueline. Unfortunately, she's down 1. Do I go down 1 and hope for I might have to... Well, actually, I can probably... Actually, no, I might be able to work with this. But anyway, first up, exhaust the Arcane Initiate. I don't know how many spells I have left in my deck. Not very many, most likely. Card 1. The Chthonian Stone once again. That seals bad symbols, basically, for 3 pulls of the tentacle. Card 2. Crystal Pendulum, which I can't take either, and Drawn to the Flame, which I can't take either. So those all get shuffled back. Yeah, that actually might be a worthwhile plan. Just move, evade the Spectral Watcher. Jacqueline can take a couple hits from it, plus she's got the Arcane Initiate, who can also take a hit. But anyway, start a round. Prophetic refreshes. Alright, so we'll cut that. And then Jacqueline's turn. I think Jacqueline will start. And she will move over to the map. Action 1 for Jacqueline will be to move to the Haunted Fields. Action 2 to the Abandoned Chapel and make friends with the Spectral Watcher. And then Action 3 will be... What am I going to need when I move in there? What am I going to need to help Mandy with the Heretic? I'm probably going to need... I'm going to be evading. I'm going to be using the action on the Unfinished Business for Jacqueline's Heretic on the Spectral Watcher. I'm trying to decide what skill I'm using and what I think I'm going to commit to this. I've got a lot more fist in my hand, but 2, 3, 4, 5, go up 2 and hope for a pull. I'm still deciding what spell I think I need. If I need Shriveling or if I need... Still deciding if I need Shriveling or... If I need Shriveling or Storm of Spirits. I think I'm going to bank that I'm eventually going to pull Twila out of that mess. Out of that small deck. So, I'm going to use Combat, which either way puts me down 1. Arbiter of Fates will get me to even. Storm of Spirits will get me up 2. And I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability into this and try to pull it that way. Okay, there's 3. So I'm up 2. I've got 3 tokens in my hands. Token 1 is a skull, which is 1 higher than the number of unfinished business in the victory display, which is still 0, so that's a -1. A 0, and an Elder Thing, which the Elder Thing and the skull can both get bent. The 0 means the Spectral Watcher is evaded, and the ghost is banished, which is going under Erin. So we need to snap her back to the location. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline's turn. Mandy needs to get rid of her heretic right here. So for action 1, I'm going to throw a charge of the acidic ichor into it. So I'm up 2, and I don't have any combat. I do have blood right, but I'm going to use that. My plan is to use that next. So Mandy is up 2. Skull, which as we saw is -1, so the heretic on Mandy takes 3 damage. Action 2. I think we actually used blood right here, and this time I'll make it a 3. So I'll draw 3 cards, then discard up to 3. For each one I discard, I can either gain a resource or spend a resource to deal a damage to an enemy at my location. So card 1 is a Dream Diary. Card 2, Guided by the Unseen. And card 3, Through the Gates. So I will, once again, I will have to finish resolving this. So I'll discard all 3 cards to deal the last 3 damage to the heretic. So it's defeated as well. And it's unfinished business on the back. They stole it from me. Give it back to me. The spirit searches its surroundings frantically and grasps at you with desperate eyes. It must have lost something important. But what? Keep this card in your threat area this side face up. Forced, at the end of the round, you must either lose 2 resources or flip this card back to its enemy side. If you're at Chapel Attic and it has no clues on it, test Combat or Agility 4. If you succeed, the ghost is banished. Resolve the text below. So now we have to resolve Through the Gates. So Through the Gates, we'll take a quick look. Draw the top card of your deck. If it's not a weakness, remove that deck from... Just draw the top card of your deck. If it's not a weakness, remove that card from the game. Then search your deck, discard pile, hand, and all play areas for each other copy of that card you own, and remove them from the game as well. Alright, so the top card here is Research Librarian, which I think we used on a skill commit earlier. And there you are. Yep, we used them on a skill commit. Okay, so that goes back to my discard pile. Those are removed from the game. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Jacqueline managed to evade the Spectral Watcher. So we'll start re-readying everything. The Spectral Watcher will make friends with Jacqueline, which is a bit, well, not too big a problem, I don't think. I think we can probably get around that, but anyway, we'll move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 5. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 2. Jacqueline will draw. Crystal Pendulum, which we've basically been playing Do-Si-Do with on the on Arcane Initiate, Speaking of which, that should be unexhausted. Mandy draws. Occult Evidence. I'd rather see this coming out of the deck, but there's no help for it right now. Wild card on commit. Shuffle it back into your deck. When you search your deck and Occult Evidence is among the searched cards, draw it and discover one clue at your location. So we need to go clear out that location of clues. But anyway, Mythos Phase, second Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Bloodthirsty Spirits. Put it into play in your threat area while your location is haunted. As an additional cost for you to commit one or more cards to a skill test, you must resolve each haunted ability on your location. Forced, at the end of your turn, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard it. Also, Mandy would have lost her 2 resources on her copy of Unfinished Business. Speaking of which, Mandy draws. Unstable Energy, so I have to resolve that ability twice when I go to leave? Gross. That's going to be a huge problem for Mandy, but anyway. Investigation Phase now, and I think I'm going to exhaust... is there a point, really, to using the Arcane Initiate for a shuffle, maybe? No, I don't... I think right now the last point... Yeah, we'll go ahead and use the Arcane Initiate anyway. Like I said, I think right now we're just looking for... I think right now we're just trying to shuffle some stuff that we need. But card 1, Drawn to the Flame, which I'd love to take, but I can't. Card 2, Emergency Cash, and Enchanted Bow, which I actually can take, and I kind of have to by default. That's another card I've been do-si-doing with. But no Twila, which is not something I'm happy to see. But anyway, Jacqueline's turn, once we get here, will take us down to her play area. Alright, Jacqueline for action 1 will initiate a play action, which will trigger an attack of opportunity and make the Arcane Initiate go nighty-night. We'll put that on the Arcane Initiate. And then we'll pay... How many resources do I want? 3 resources. For her other copy of Shriveling, which I will discard this copy of Shriveling to get a fresh one out. Then action 2, I'm only going to put 3 charges on it because action 2 will be to put a charge into the Spectral Watcher. So I'm at 5, 8, 9. I'm up 6, doing 3 damage. Do I want to throw Jacqueline's ability into this? Yes, I do, because I want to be trying to take it out when I'm risking her sanity. Okay. Token 1 is a -2. Token 2 is a skull. And token 3 is a 0. So I'll cancel the -2 and the skull to put 3 damage on the Spectral Watcher. And then action 3 will put another charge of Shriveling into him. So we're up. So we're up by 6 again. But this time I don't have her ability behind it. A 0 will actually make the Spectral Watcher go nighty-night, thankfully. So he will not ready this turn, thanks to Jacqueline. And then Mandy's turn will take us over to the map. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to resolve the unstable energies on Mandy's location twice. So I'm going to go to leave, So I'll move down to the abandoned chapel, but I have to resolve the haunted ability twice. So I'd spawn the top card of my deck face down engaged with me as monster enemies with one of everything except for horror. So that's action 1. Action 2, I guess we'll fight 1 and commit occult evidence to go up 1. And Jacqueline has nothing she can do, so Mandy's up 1. Actually, after we move to the location, I almost forgot. I will exhaust Janae to move a clue from Chapel Attic over here. A skull is -1, so 1's evaded. Actually, so that one's defeated, actually. Okay, and then action 3 will be to... Fighting it with a strange solution seems like such overkill, but we might have to. Just to make completely sure it's gone. I'd rather use that on the next heretic, though. But, oh, Jacqueline also needed to test the bloodthirsty spirits. I'll do that after Mandy finishes her turn. So, action 3 will be to evade the other one up 2. Elder Thing is a -2, so that one is evaded. But anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, our only enemies are exhausted. The Spectral Watcher will not wake up this turn. But anyway, so we'll just take that off of him. That'll come back to Mandy. And then we'll move back. Oh, Jacqueline needed to test Bloodthirsty Spirits. So the timing's a little bit wrong, but we'll pretend we did this at end of turn. Actually, yeah, that is end of turn. So Jacqueline is up 3 trying to get rid of Bloodthirsty Spirits. Skull gets rid of it. Anyway, that will do it for the enemy phase. So so that's all done. We'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 5. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 1. Jacqueline draws the Black Book, which I'm not particularly happy to see right now. It's probably going to be a skill commit. 3 cost to play, +1 will, +1 lore. When you play a card, exhaust the Black Book and take X horror, reduce that card's cost by X. Let me check her hand size here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so she's clear there. Mandy draws another Blood Right, which might actually be welcome because we're about to flip this right back over, and I'll put it on... yeah, we'll put it on Mandy for the time being. But anyway, Mythos phase, Doom goes up to 3 on the agenda. Jacqueline draws another Bloodthirsty Spirits, which she just got rid of. And then Mandy draws... From the other side, test Agility 3. If you fail, resolve each haunted ability on your location. If you fail by 3 or more, resolve each of them twice instead. And because it's the Mythos phase, we get -1 to each skill. So she's going to have -1 to each skill until the end of the round. That's a problem. So Mandy's actually down 1. And yeah, I think that is... Where's she tested? Oh! No, that's engaged with her. Never mind. Alright, so down 1. Actually, oh, +1. She was down 1, got to even. Actually, wait. Okay, that resolves at the, okay, so agility 3, she was even +1. Okay, never mind. We're all clear. All right, so that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the Mythos phase. Start around, Prophetic should have gotten 2 resources on it. But investigation phase now, and suddenly we need to deal with this heretic. So I think we'll have... Well, we also need to keep an eye on the Spectral Watcher. The Spectral Watcher is going to be waking up. So I think... Actually, I think I kind of want Jacqueline to go first. We'll move down to her play area. Action 1 will spend 2 resources from Prophetic and 1 from her pool, discarding a Clairvoyance because I'm playing a replacement spell. I'm actually going to play out... Where is it? Here it is. The Arcane Bow. This is probably the first time I'm actually happy to see this card. So I can... it's 3 charges. As an action, I can exhaust it to fight using Will or Agility instead of Combat and get +1 skill value for the attack. Deal +1 damage, so I'm doing 2 damage still. As an additional cost to initiate this ability, I can spend 1 charge to have this ability target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location. If I do, ignore Aloof and Retaliate, and I will. So I'll get 2 charges out for that, because action 2 will be to attack. We'll attack the heretic at the chapel attic. So Jacqueline is at 5, 6, 7 to 4. She's up 3. +1 deals the heretic at the chapel attic 2 damage. And then action 3, I'll put a charge of Shriveling into the heretic on Mandy, and I'll put Jacqueline's ability into this as well. So Jacqueline is up 5, 6, 9 to 4. Jacqueline's up 5, pulling 3 tokens. And there's 3. Card 1, or token 1, -2. Token 2. Tentacle touched. I'm hoping this third one is not a symbol. Token 3 is a -3, so Jacqueline was up 5, which means canceling the tentacle somehow dodges a big bullet, which means we put 3 damage on the heretic. Because we were up 5 going into that. So that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn will take us over to her play area. Action 1, we will... I don't have the resources to do that. So action 1... I'll put my last charge of Strange Solution into Heretic, so I'm up 2. Do I commit the Blood Rite? Yes, I think I do have to commit the Blood Rite to go up 3. Yeah, I need this off of... I need at least one of these off of Mandy. Now I'm looking at it, and that was action 1. Do I punch the... Unfortunately, I'm not going to... Well, if I flip it now, I'm not going to have the resource... Well, if I flip it now, I would have the resources to keep it, but... Oh, Jacqueline actually did have to test Bloodthirsty Spirit, so that'll give me a little bit of time to think. So let me test that real quick. Jacqueline's up 3. +1 gets rid of Bloodthirsty Spirits. So... Right. I do need to be able to take out that... I will be able to take out that Spectral Watcher again next turn. If I have to. And I probably will have to. But... what to do about this Heretic? Action 1... oh wait, was that action... I think that was action 1 for Mandy, wasn't it? Yeah, that was action 1. So, yeah, I'll stick with the charge. I'll put a blood right into it, go up 3. Skull flips that right back over. Yep, okay, so that flips back over. That was action 1. Blood Right's gone. Action 2 will be to punch this? Yeah, I think we just have to punch it, honestly. So action 2 will punch it up. We're even right now, actually. There are a lot of ways this can go. Actually, evading it might be a better plan. Actually, I could send Mandy over to the... no, I need to get her over to the chapel attic, which is unfortunately currently blocked by another heretic. Sending her over to the... sending her over there to banish that second heretic might not be a bad idea. The only problem is it's getting her in the wrong direction, which I don't think I want to do. So I'll evade this monster enemy, Mandy, up 1, or up 2. -2 evades it, which will put it on Jacqueline. I just realized that's going to be a problem. Oh boy. Action 3 then will be to just take a resource, I guess. It's not the best action 3 in the world, but at this point we're starting to run a little bit out of time. But anyway, that's it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the enemies don't move right now, so we'll give the Spectral Watcher to Jacqueline because I think I need Jacqueline to try to take him out. We'll give this enemy back to Mandy, and then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 5. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 3, but I'm going to put her at 1 to keep unfinished business around. And on that side, Jacqueline draws. Twilla, I could just kiss you right now. Twilla Catherine Price, Lost in a Dream. 3 cost to play, agility, and lore on commit. Reaction: after you spend 1 or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twilla to put a charge on that asset. Honestly, taking an attack of opportunity might be worth it to play her. I'll exhaust everything here. Mandy draws. Magnifying Lens, which is not particularly helpful right now, but anyway, that's an enemy engaged with her. Mythos phase, we got our 4th Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. From the other side, test Agility 3. If you fail, resolve each haunted ability on your location, and if you fail by 3 or more, resolve them twice instead. She's down 2. And I don't think either one of them has any agility I can commit to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and hope for a pull? Yeah, I think we'll commit the Black Book to put her down 1, and then Mandy No. Okay, so we're down 1, hoping for a pull, which is not something where I like to be. But at least a -1 won't resolve the haunted abilities twice. Okay, so there's the -1, which means Jacqueline is now -1 on her skills until the end of the round. Mandy draws Burdens of the Past. If there are no copies of Unfinished Business in your threat area, gain Surge. Otherwise, oh no. Trigger the forced ability of each copy of Unfinished Business in your threat area as if it were the end of the round. So we have to trigger that, which means Mandy doesn't have the 2 resources to trigger that, so it flips right back over, and we cannot get that on track. But anyway, into the investigation phase now, and what I wouldn't give for a Storm of Spirits, but I used them both earlier. Anyway, Jacqueline will go first and will start in her play area. Twila is too important right now, so for action 1, I will eat an attack of opportunity. And then pay 3 resources. Also, I should have a charge on Prophetic to play out Twila. Sometimes this world, I wish I never came back. Action 2 will exhaust the Enchanted Bow, targeting the Spectral Watcher, which I don't need to exhaust Twila for because I'm not needing to spend a charge to target a distant enemy. So 5, 6, 7 to 3 up 4. An Elder Thing is a -2 if you fail, which it's not, so the Spectral Watcher takes 2 damage. And then action 3 will be to exhaust Twila using a charge of Shriveling into the Spectral Watcher, and I'll throw Jacqueline's ability into this. So 5, 6, 9 to 3, she's up 6, and I'm pulling 3 tokens. And there we are. Okay. Oh, those unstable energies should have been gone a while ago. Token 1. Tentacle touched. Uh-oh. So if we pull any symbols here, Mandy is probably taking a mental trauma. Token 2 is an Elder Thing. Joy. Token 3 is a -1. So unfortunately, I have to cancel the tentacle because I would just fail otherwise. But I ran into the same problem the last week. Well, actually, no. I don't think I just take a trauma here because that horror from Shriveling is not direct. So I could put it on Twila, and I will. But a -3 isn't enough to fail on the Spectral Watcher. So I will go ahead and send it Night-Night again. So he doesn't ready during the upkeep phase next round. So at least that will prove very helpful. But we still are in very much of a bind because Mandy needs to get away from both of these enemies. Well, yeah, we need to get rid of these enemies, so I think we'll move over to Mandy in her play area. Action 1 will be our first use of the Spectral Web, so spend 1 to 3 clues as a group. We'll spend 2 from Jacqueline and 1 from Mandy, using Will on this attack. So We get +3 will because we're spending 3 clues, and deal 4 damage for this attack since we spent 3 clues to trigger it. Actually, we're base even, spent 3, so we're up 3, trying to do 4 damage. I keep forgetting I had those all game. Elder Thing does not fail us, so we get 3 damage on that. We get 4 damage on that heretic. Action 2 will run that back, so this time it'll be 2 from Jacqueline, 1 from Mandy. We'll do the same thing again. Still up. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're still up 3. The damage is going to be overkill, but I'm not worried about that. Skull is -1, so that flips right back over. And then we're going to try to punch that monster at even. -3 says, yeah, right. Okay, so that'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Mandy takes 1 damage from the monster. She's 1 away from defeated by damage. Anyway, we'll go ahead and re-ready everything here. The Spectral Watcher just gets the exhaustion token off of him. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 3. Mandy will gain 1 and go to 2, but I'm just going to clear her out to keep that unfinished business around. Jacqueline draws Emergency Cash, which just gives me 3 resources, which could actually be very welcome. Mandy draws I've got a plan. Fight using lore. Deal +1 damage for this attack for each clue you have, max +3 damage. But Mythos phase, we go up to 5 doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws Unavoidable Demise. Test agility 2. If you fail, take 2 damage. If you succeed, into play next to the agenda deck. While it's next to the agenda deck, each other copy gets +1 damage and deals +1 damage. So actually, Jacqueline, this is a 3 test and she'd be taking 3 damage. She can deal with damage right now, I think. So, and I don't think we have agility anyway, so we'll just test that down 1. I need to pull more when I go in attacking. Probably going to need the ability more. Skull is -1, so I do fail, which means I take 3 damage. As I was saying in that mild ramble, though, I probably need Jacqueline's ability more when I go in to attack the heretic over there. Oh, not that one. That takes 2 damage. Mandy draws Screeching Banshee. Not the time to see this. Forced. When you deal 1 or more damage to Screeching Banshee, except from a spell or relic, resolve each haunted ability at its location and deal 2 damage. Great. Okay, so that's in hand, which I'll put that there. Investigation phase, our bind just got a whole lot worse. Jacqueline will try to get us out of it by going to the map. Action 1 for Jacqueline will be to move to the chapel attic, which will make friends with the heretic over here. And then we'll take a look at the location. Shroud of 8. While investigating Chapel Attic, add the number of cards in your hand to your skill value for this investigation. Haunted. Discard a random card from your hand, 2 instead if you have 5 or more cards in hand. Joy, joy. Action 2 will be to... That was action 1. Action 2 will be to exhaust the Enchanted Bow, attacking the Heretic. I'm at 5, 6, 7. I'm up 3. Skull is -1, so that's another 2 damage on the Heretic. And then action 3, we'll put a charge of put my last charge of Shriveling into it, and I'll use her special ability. So once again, I'm at 5, 8, 9 to 4. I'm up 5. Yeah, I'm up 5. Actually, no. Jacqueline had... Oh, no, never mind. We had an unavoidable demise. Okay, never mind. So she had... Okay, so she did take the damage. She would have still failed anyway. But anyway, up 5 with 3 pulls. And 3. Okay. Token 1. A 0. Token 2, a skull, and token 3, a 0. So I'll cancel one of the zeros and the skull, and we'll deal this heretic its last damage, and we'll find out what its unfinished business is all about. Burn. Let it burn. Let it all burn. The charred ghost thrashes and howls in agony as though in a constant state of torment. You cannot ease its suffering, but perhaps you can bring it justice. Keep this card in your threat area, this side face up. At the end of the round, you must either take 1 damage or flip this enemy back to its enemy side. Action, if you're at the gallows and it has no clues on it, test Will or Agility 4. If you succeed, the ghost is banished. Okay, so... Yikes, that's going to be a big problem for Jacqueline. But anyway, that will do it for her. Mandy's got to evade. Mandy's got a mess on her hands. So, action 1 is going to be to evade the Banshee. She's up 3. Skull is... Let's put that 0 in the bag. I forgot that was still out there. So we'll redo the test. So we're still up 3 trying to evade the Banshee. A 0 still evades the Banshee. Action 2... We'll try to evade the monster on her. Up 3 on that is... Actually, let's evade that. Elder Sign, which, as we saw earlier, lets us search the top 3 of her deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test. I'm going to go 6 deep because I'm going to need agility commits desperately. 3, 4, 5, 6. I need agility tests to get through that mess. Card 1. Another, I've got a plan, which would help if I had more resources. Card 2. Pathfinder, which would be very helpful if I could get the resources to play it. But it is an agility commit, and that's what I'm worried about right now. Eureka, which would also be welcome. Pantalone, also, well, maybe. Guided by the Unseen, which I don't want to see right now, and another Blood Right. So I will actually take Eureka, but I will not draw it, but I will draw it. So the rest of these are going to get shuffled in. I'm going to need those later when I try to get past this mess. Actually, I'm going to have a problem when this heretic wakes up next turn, or wakes up on this upkeep phase, unless I take a resource just to keep it from waking up, but I don't think that's going to help me at all anyway. Fantastic. Plus, we're running out of time here anyway. So I just go. This is going to be a disaster any way I do it, because I don't think I'm going to have time to get the ghosts up there and banish them. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to have time to do this. So action 3 will be to... Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to have time to do this. Because Jacqueline needs one more turn. Yeah, I just don't have enough actions to pull this off. So I think what we do here is we just banish the one we've got, I guess. But anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we have... Actually, I think the better idea there is to move... No, we've already committed that. Enemy phase, no enemies, no relevant enemies. So everything wakes up. But yeah, like I said, ultimately, I just don't think I have enough time to get everything done. But anyway, we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Alright, so upkeep phase. Mandy gains 1 resource, goes to 1. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 4. Jacqueline draws. The Chthonian Stone, a little late to the party. Mandy draws. Encyclopedia, which isn't particularly useful right now. Uses 5 secrets. Wildcard on commit. As an action, exhaust it and spend 1 secret. Choose an investigator at your location. Get +2 to a skill of your choice until the end of the phase. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 6. Jacqueline draws. Oh, end of round stuff. So Mandy flips that back over. Jacqueline takes a damage. I'm going to do that before I flip her card over. That re-engages. Jacqueline draws. Bane of the Living. Oh, joy. This probably... Either way, I think this just means that the scenario... that Jacqueline's going to eat a lot of trauma. Is going to eat a trauma here. Like, either choose an unfinished business card in play, flip it to its heretic side, and place damage on it equal to half its health, or I discard cards from the top of the spectral encounter deck until I hit a Geist. Spawn that enemy engaged with me. Yeah, I think we just flip this over and pray to God we can evade it somehow. Because I don't have any way to deal with it right now. Mandy draws. Fate of All Fools. This is going to be a big problem. Because Jacqueline has a copy of Fate of All Fools. So she draws the top card of the Spectral Encounter deck. It gains peril, and I can't cancel it, and I can't commit anything to it. So Jacqueline draws. Another Fate of All Fools. You got to be kidding me. Jacqueline draws. Bane of the Living. So now I've got to go for a Geist. that didn't take long. Screeching Banshee. Fantastic. Alright, so we are probably just boned here, but we're in the investigation phase. And I think our path here is just evade and pray? Because, yeah, we're not getting out of this scenario. So anyway, let's just go as far as we can, and I gotta change the battery. But Jacqueline will take us down to her play area. The Enchanted Bow should be ready, but it ultimately won't matter in the grand scheme of things. Action 1 is going to be to try to evade the Banshee. I'm up 1. Elder Thing is -2 if you fail, and this is an evade, which it was. Discard a random card from your hand, 2 instead if you have 5 or more. Jacqueline has 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, so she's going to be discarding 2 random cards. Fantastic. And these two. Emergency Cash and Occult Theory. Joy. Action 2, we'll just run it back, I guess. And I'll throw her ability into it this time. Just so I can actually have the choice of what trauma I want to be defeated by. Token 1. The Elder Sign, which, token 2. A 0, and Elder Thing. So I'll cancel the Elder Sign and the Elder Thing, evade the Banshee, and I'll draw a card. So Jacqueline will draw. Drawn to the Flame, which would have been useful a lot earlier. And then action 3 will be to try to evade the Heretic. Down 1. Skull says, yeah, right. Alright, so that will do it for Jacqueline. Now I'll move over to Mandy. Action 1 will be to parlay for 2 clues to get that second Heretic under the Act deck. Even though it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. Action 2 will be try to evade the Heretic, up 1. Zero evades the Heretic, not that it's going to matter. And then action 3 will be to evade the monster up 3. +1 evades the monster, but it's not going to matter because that was action 3. Enemy phase, I'll send a Spectral Watcher over after Mandy, just to basically get the scenario over with. So the Heretic will deal Jacqueline 1 and 1. I'll have her take a mental trauma from that. And then the Spectral Watcher, I'm not even going to try to prolong the scenario at this point. I just want this to be done with. So Mandy will take her last health damage to take a physical trauma. And then with that, we'll move back up top to wrap this video up. And then since each investigator was defeated, we go straight into Resolution 1.
Resolution 1. Rays of faded sunlight stream through the haze, and the unnatural mist finally recedes. As it does, Hangman's Hill returns to its original state. No other spiteful ghosts emerge to haunt you, and the witches who summoned them have retreated into the shadows once more. You hope that you have done enough to prevent the rest of Arkham from succumbing to this horror. In your campaign log, record X heretics were unleashed onto Arkham. X is the number of heretics and enemies in play. If it is Act 1, instead record 4 heretics were unleashed onto Arkham. If X is 3 or less, record Wisp of Spectral Mist. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display.
Which is a grand total of 1 experience. Because the heretics were ending up in... Actually, don't read until the ghost is banished. It ended up under... They ended up under the act rather than in the victory display, so I think that's still 1 experience, but I'll have to double check and get a ruling on that. But anyway, that will do it for this week's scenario. Join me on Twitch later tonight to continue our game of Front Mission 3. Wednesday, there's not going to be much of an upgrade, honestly, with 1 experience in each deck. So I might just end up sitting on that, but I'll have a think about that. Thursday will be another Thursday Fight Night on Twitch as we continue to City of Final Fantasy NT, and Sunday we'll continue the fall campaign with Return to For the Greater Good. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.